G'day to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am Club. It's Tuesday afternoon, and it's a cracker. It's a cracker of a day. It's a cracker Sydney autumn day, and I'm down here at the National Maritime Museum, and as you can see, we've got a number of beautiful sailing boats, old world sailing boats made out of timber, which look absolutely beautiful. And what I'd like to do is just take you on a journey and cover another book summary so we can make good progress and knock out yet another on this path that we've taken. And it won't be long before I'll be celebrating my 1000th book summary in English. I love this part of Sydney. Look at those magnificent buildings. Sydney's come of age, absolutely come of age, through a sustained series of investments and building programs, which has made this part of Sydney, down here at Darling Harbour and Cockle Bay, and this whole area, it's turned it into a world-class part of the city. And we've also got some tall ships, some beautiful tall ships as well, to link the future, the modern part of Sydney, with good old yesteryear as well. So what I want to do is just talk about a book summary here, a really interesting one, entitled A First-Rate Madness, by an author named S Nasir HGhaemi, who talks about leadership styles and how in times of crisis certain leadership styles end up being more effective than other leadership styles, based on looking at a historical perspective at leaders throughout the history of time. And the author goes on to say, and I quote, "In times of crisis, we are better off being led by mentally ill leaders." And take note, I did say that correctly. In times of crisis, we are better being led by mentally ill leaders than by mentally normal ones. And why? Why would you say that? Like it's something which is quite odd to hear somebody say. But what they'll do is they'll go through and try and rationalize their position, their posturing, based on historical expression and historical evidence. The author then goes on to say and to remind us that some of the most brilliant leaders that we've had throughout time have suffered depression or other mental illness. A fascinating start to any conversation. So what we'll do is we'll look at a couple of leaders and dig into their past and find out a little bit more about what made them tick. So the first formal point which comes out of this book from this author is where he reminds us that depression and bipolar may indeed have benefits that may be helpful in leadership positions. Who would have thought that depression, deep depression, or bipolar could actually be a benefit when it comes to leadership in crisis? So the author then goes on to peel the onion and to describe their position in a little bit more detail. And he says that depression is simply described as a deep, unbreakable sadness. A deep,
Thanks, Anthony. Thank you, Rex.
a deep, unbreakable sadness, which is... you closing up, mate? Yeah, I'll move on. Just let me grab my stuff. So there we go. We'll leave the tall ship for now, but we'll continue our little journey. I'll just go to the end and get another vantage point and continue delivering Jim's 5 a.m. club. And it's a fascinating part of Sydney, a place where we should all come down and spend some time on occasion. Let me go up here and get a different angle from this wonderful tall ship and continue the storytelling. So the author talks about bipolar and depression, and reminds us that depression is an unbreakable sadness. Unbreakable sadness. What a way to describe depression. Makes me sad just describing it as so. Because I must admit, I don't suffer from depression, but just describing it makes me feel depressed. So depression is simply described as a deep, unbreakable sadness, and depressed people tend to be more empathetic. So this is the key, this is the clue. Because depressed people tend to be more empathetic, in other words, they feel what other people feel, they are in a better position to understand the difficulties of human experiences, especially the experiences that people are going through during crisis and during tough times. And on the other hand, bipolar is another condition where the author suggests that the people who suffer bipolar oscillate between deep, unbreakable sadness and euphoria, so from happiness to sadness. So they swing like a pendulum in a spontaneous way and unpredictable way. So what the author is saying is that these people have also an ability to be able to understand and to see both viewpoints, the viewpoints of people who are suffering and feeling sad, as well as the viewpoint of the other end of the spectrum, where the people are happy and euphoric and can celebrate an outcome. So the author then goes on to suggest that therefore leaders with bipolar can see things from both perspectives, which is a powerful thing. So they look for outliers. They're able to appreciate and to understand outliers. They can understand the positive and the negative perspective and tend to be more creative than most people. So a very, very interesting way of seeing the world. So now that we've described what these conditions are, the author then goes on to give us examples of mentally ill leaders who were simply brilliant with what they were able to achieve. And I was quite surprised because I wasn't aware of this, but and I don't know how relevant it is, but here is an example. Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi, I got it out, both tried to commit suicide when they were young people because they both suffered deep, unbreakable sadness. They were both very, very depressed, manic depressants within their young years. They both had a heightened sense of compassion though, which came with that depression. And they were able to leverage that heightened compassion that depressed people tend to have. And for that reason, they were able to become tremendous leaders and powerful instigators and push for civil rights because of their radical compassion. Their civil rights movement was birthed through their radical compassion. Winston Churchill is another one who also suffered depression. But what the author says is that his style of depression helped him make bold decisions because he was more realistic than most and tended to see the negative in people and in circumstances. And he could see where Hitler was heading. He wasn't seduced by Hitler's charm and all the goings on and the facade and the spin doctoring that was happening. He was able to see through the bullshit for what it was, and that was because of his mental illness, of his depressive state. JFK is another one who was described as bipolar, and because of his bipolarity, he was able to avert the disaster of the Cuban Missile Crisis by being able to keep his cool when everybody else was losing theirs around him. So once again, I wasn't aware that JFK was bipolar, but then again, there you go. We all learn something new when we go on a journey of discovery using Jim's 5am Club as a platform for learning and development. So I guess the theme from this book summary is to look at mental illness not as a weakness, but as an advantage for some people to use in some circumstances, and to see that over the history of time there have been leaders who have displayed mental illness, but have used that mental illness to the benefit of them, their country and their cause. So, like everything in life, strengths can become weaknesses and weaknesses can become strengths. It all depends on how you leverage it and how you use these things and how you put them to use in the right context. So as we said, weaknesses can become strengths when properly channeled and properly used. So may this be a lesson to each and every one of us, and to not look at things such as bipolar, mental illness, or any weakness as being a weakness. It's only when we put it into context that we can reframe it and use it to an advantage. So I think I'll leave it there. So thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club. It's afternoon, Tuesday afternoon. This is probably the 8th or 9th vlog that I've got for the day, but I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to get to 1,000 as quickly as possible. So thank you for joining me on this book summary, this episode where we talked about A First-Rate Madness by author S Nasir HGhaemi, and see where it takes us next time. So thank you for joining me. I look forward to coming to you again from a different location with a different message, a message of empowerment. I'm not sure if coming into the future I'll be able to give you a lot more vlogs from this beautiful city location, because I think my work assignment has come to an end, and I may be going to be working from a different site in the next month or two. So thank you once again. I look forward to chatting to you. Filakia, and bye for now from Jim's 5am Club. Yasas, bye bye.